When everyone was crying over my mother's death, my father smiled. That smile broke my heart and changed everything I knew about our family. A quiet truth revealed, leaving me shattered and forever changed. I can still remember the hospital smell that day. The coldness of the sterile air mixed with something far off metallic, like the odor of rusted sorrow. The hallway was too white, too quiet, as if not wanting to intrude on the grief that hung heavy in the room like heavy smoke. I stood at the very door of the ICU, shuddering my hands slightly, holding my phone as if its message on the screen could redefine the reality that was taking place in front of me. My mother had just passed away an hour ago, and in that ICU room, my siblings and I were breaking down in ways that words could not possibly describe. But as I glanced over at my dad, standing beside the bed where she had only moments before died, I saw something that will remain with me for the remainder of my existence. A smile. A real, unabashed smile. In order to gain appreciation for the enormity of the moment, I need to take you back a bit. I am the eldest of three. My youth was routine, maybe even idyllic at times. We weren't rich, but we were fine. My mother was the center of our home, the warmth in our winters, the one who marked birthdays and made every mundane day unique. She was gentle-spoken, but intensely in love. My father, on the other hand, was reticent. Not icy, actually, but aloof. He was the kind of guy who believed love was a question of demonstration, rather than words. He worked enough, spoke little, and preferred to keep to himself. As a child, I didn't realize. That was simply what dads were like, I told myself. But the older I became, especially into my teenage years, I realized the fissures. Small things. The way my mother's smile declined when he entered the room. The silence between them that was not congenial but strained. The absence of contact, the lack of laughter. It was subtle, but as soon as I saw it, I was unable to unsee it. My mother never complained. She was the kind of woman who hugged her dignity tight, who preferred endurance to confrontation. But I saw the way she began to do more things by herself, having meals without him, going for walks alone, speaking louder to her plants than to the man she wedded. I had questioned her one time, when I was in college, whether or not she was happy. She looked out the window for what seemed like forever before she said, "Happiness is a story we tell ourselves so we can keep going." Then, I did not quite understand what she meant. Now, I think that it was her unspoken confession. When she got sick, cancer was the diagnosis, my world went haywire. You always think you have a little extra time. More mornings to say "I love you" to her. More evenings to sit next to her. More birthday afternoons when she makes the same old cake and sings a little off-key. But then our calendar was filled with chemotherapy sessions, hospital visits, and silent prayers. I came home to help. My siblings came and went, but I stayed there. Along the way, my father was a ghost. He was there physically, yes. He drove her to some of her doctor's appointments, brought home her medication when she needed it, but emotionally, not connected. I waited and waited for him to collapse, to sit next to her bed and weep like I did. But he never did crack. His face was always stoic, his position always stiff. It was as if he'd locked all the feelings away in a safe, and I didn't possess the key. I hated him at times. I resented him at times. I wanted to shake him, shout at him, plead with him to make her understand that she mattered to him. But I did none of these things. I loved my mother too much to spark a war while she was dying. I was sitting there holding her hand when she passed last night, barely breathing, eyes closed. Her once strong voice now, little more than a barely audible gasp. I told her I loved her. that it was okay to go, that we'd be okay. I said it even when I didn't think I could make myself believe it. And when the monitor went flatline, something in me shattered. We all flopped in that room. My little brother sobbed into his hands. My sister knelt down. I was there, numb as a rock, my whole body ringing with silence. And then I saw him, my father. He was at her bedside, gazing at her face. And then, slowly, unmistakably, his lips formed a smile. Not a wonderful grin, but a smile, gentle, calm, almost relieved. I was sick. I felt as though all the air had been sucked from my body. I thought I had dreamed it. Sorrow gets tricksy in the mind. But then my brother also saw it. He leaned into me and said, "Is he?" Smiling, yes, he was. And for an instant, my sorrow turned dark. Bewilderment, anger, disbelief. Why smile while the woman who had given us everything had just died? I couldn't even gaze at him for days. At the funeral, he remained quietly seated, the same unnerving calmness on his face. As we read eulogies with tears choked in our throats, he nodded calmly. When others embraced us and wept, he accepted polite thanks. No tears, no trembling, just stillness. I did not want to be left alone with him. Until that night, a week since the funeral, when I found him in the living room, alone, staring at a photograph of her. It was late, everyone else was asleep, and something within me, suspicion and resentment, maybe both, compelled me to sit opposite him. I did not intend to speak, but he did. "She used to like this picture," he whispered, holding it in the palm of his hand. Said it made her feel like herself again. I said nothing, my chest constricted. "I know you think that I didn't love her," he spoke slowly, not looking at me. "I saw your face that day, when she died." I swallowed hard. "You smiled." He nodded slowly. "I did." Silence, because she was finally free. I stared at him, stunned, angry. "She suffered so long," he continued. "Not only from the cancer. Before that as well. She never complained. But I knew, I saw in her eyes. The way she drifted through this house, like a stranger. I tried to mend it. I just didn't know how." His voice trembled, and I saw his eyes flash for the first time. "I let her down," he said to me, "each day. I wasn't the husband she had coming. But I stayed. And so did she. Out of duty. Out of habit. I don't know. But when she died, I smiled because I thought, finally, now she has peace." It swept me off my feet like a wave. I never thought of it in this manner, that his smile was not happiness. It was surrender. A mourning in silence of a life of missed chances and unspoken words. "She was the best thing in my life," he panted, and I let her slip through my fingers, little by little, watching her suffer, knowing I couldn't give her the comfort she gave all of us. It broke me before she passed away. I didn't know what to say. The image I'd created of him cold, emotionless, started to shift. I knew that grief comes in many forms. Some scream, some cry, some grin. "I wish I could turn back," he explained. "Speak all the things that I never spoke. But I can't." That night, I saw my father not as the man who grinned at death, but as a man who had long died quietly inside. A man who didn't know how to love boisterously, who carried around guilt like a shadow, and who now let a smile slip out. Not out of disrespect, but because that was all he could muster. Over the course of the next few months, I forgave him. Slowly, reluctantly. We talked more. Not often, but more honestly than ever before. He started going to her grave by himself on Sundays. He turned into a gardener, one of her favorite things to do. I saw glimpses of a man trying to reconcile his past. I began to reflect on my own life as well, on the ones I love and how I tell them or don't. I began saying the words "I love you" more. I began to show up in my relationships instead of waiting for others to figure out how I felt. My mother's passing had shown me that time is precarious. My father's smile, mysterious and haunting, showed me that love is multifaceted. We all grieve differently, and sometimes that coldest-looking individual is grieving the heaviest load of grief. I will never remember my dad's smiling face while we cried. For a long time, this felt like betrayal, but now I see it for what it was. The quiet folding of a man who had already mourned many years before the rest of us knew it was time. And in a strange, tortured way, that smile was his farewell.